du sitter wirklich wichtig als ich. Denkst du wirklich, du bist wichtig? Wirklich wichtiger als ich. Du denkst wirklich, du bist wichtig. Wirklich wichtiger als ich. Denkst du wirklich, du bist wichtig? Vielleicht auch nicht. Sagst deine Fans, die sind dir teuer. Und bekommst du bei mir dann Paranoia. Ich hab nur eine Nacht bei dir abgestaubt. Und du sagst, ich hätte dich deine Dienste beraubt dein Bett. Du denkst wirklich, du bist wichtig. Wirklich wichtiger als ich. Denkst du wirklich, du bist wichtig? Vielleicht auch nicht.
Hey guys, what's up? Warm welcome to all of you who have tuned in at the very beginning of this TSP TV live on a Monday night. It has been a little while since we have done a live show. Guys, let me know if or not you heard the intro music, because I'm kind of watching you on my screen here. I've got your comments coming up, but there's no video being showed. Hey there, Becky, Nancy, Kaz, and Trip, and I see Judy Bell is just popped into the episode, but she's changed her name. Prepper Chicks in Texas, and might even be some news that she's going to be starting making some videos soon. So anyway, welcome. As I said, it is TSP TV live. It is a Monday night. Hopefully you can see the little thumbnail up there. My good and dear friend and inspiration and sort of somehow fuel for the thrift store Prepper TV channel, George Costanza. It is about nothing. We've got nothing really going on today or tonight, but let's get Georgie boy down if we can. Oh, porcadillo. I'm having all sorts of problems here. There we go. Can you see me already, everybody? And as I said, it's very weird because let me just show you what I've got going on. Obviously, there is my little studio, the computer. Sadly, no batteries for the Thrift Fam fireplace at the moment, but let me just kind of turn you around. So this is what I'm talking about. So your comments are coming up here. I've got the other phone here, look, working, which is how I'm reading your content, but no video at all. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Let me know if you've got any audio, and let me know also if or not you guys saw the intro. You know what, let me come out of there and see if restarting YouTube will make a difference. Bear with me a second, guys. Can you hear me okay as well? So saying we've got 5 people watching. Hope all is well. Okay, you heard it. Did you see the music? But you know, was the intro actually playing? Because all right, good news. I've got you there on the screen. So that's what I was a little bit worried about. Thank you, Kaz. We are looking a little bit better. I did have kind of a little bit of a tidy up and a spruce up over the weekend. I have been trying to sort of prepare myself to get back into the sort of routine and practice of making videos for you and going live. As you do know, I did lose my father a few weeks back, and you know, it is a life-changing, traumatic experience. I'm not exactly over it. Am I managing and coping with it? Not particularly, but I have sort of found a little bit of a comfort zone in the fact that I've kind of been in a little bit of my comfort bubble. I've been in sort of almost self-isolation. I've been out once or twice to sort of get out, some exercise, some fresh air, see some people, try to break that little habit of falling into that trap of just sort of feeling sorry for yourself and staying in that little comfort bubble. But I did find a little bit of a comfort bubble for myself and a little bit of a manageable environment to kind of deal with the emotional roller coasters and not knowing whether I'm coming or going, and the stress and all that's come in the last few weeks is really just knocked the living shit out of me. If 2020 wasn't bad enough, it's got a whole lot worse. I don't know if or not you can tell by the tone of my voice that I ain't quite right. But anyway, thank you. I'm glad, because we do have a little bit of difficulty and issues with some volume. Some of the videos that I did upload, there's been sound issues, like the audio, my voice has been very, very quiet, but music has been loud, intros have been loud, stuff like that. If or not this is to do with YouTube censorship or algorithms or technical difficulties, my side, I do not know, but I'm doing my sort of best with what I've got. So let's just check a couple of comments. Very slick, so I think we read that one. So yeah, it does. Let me kind of just zoom out. I'm using actually the little tabletop tripod at the minute, so this is kind of like how the studio looks at the moment, which I might sort of try and sort of sit myself here, set up the tripod where I'm kind of sitting now, so we can sort of see the entire studio kind of a little bit like that. But as you can see, I've got the nice shiny black surfaces again. I took these off, flipped them over. Behind me is pretty much the same. I haven't really done much there. So that's that, and I don't know if you can kind of see through there. There is the pantry in the difference. 69. It's my TFC champion scarf from a couple of years ago. So let's take you out and have a little look in the pantry. Looking a little bit neater since I have downsized. Don't know if you caught the video I uploaded today. That was the first of my effort of getting back in the swing of things rather. So I have done a little bit of rearranging. I've actually took everything out. If you didn't see that video, do check it out. But I did take everything out, checked what I got, and rearranged it, repackaged it. And I must admit, it kind of does look a little bit neater and sleeker. And unfortunately, I don't know if you can remember, I actually had 8 of those little containers here with the Kool-Aid. That's all ramen and potatoes there. So I actually have gone through 4 containers full of food. Actually, that's 5 containers. I've actually gone through 5 containers of food, but these are all pretty stocked up. I'm not going to open these drawers because these are a son of a bitch to open, but let me just give you a quick glance in there. That's all my kind of little proteins. I got chicken, I got corned beef, got Vienna sausage, kind of generic spam. Up here, remember those? We used to have fun and games, laughing at the meat sticks, and at the back there's ham. That pretty much is, I've got a space for another can in there, look, but it's pretty much full. That's just beans, as is at the bottom, and that's all ramen. So that's kind of what the pantry is looking like now. As I said, we have dented it quite considerably since it's not necessarily completion, but we were very, very stocked up. So there it is. That's what the kind of thrift store studio does look like. And as I say, kind of maybe setting up there, you can see it all, and maybe the way to go in the future. So let's come back this side now. Oh, look, we've lost that. Let me see if I can come out of here. Something went wrong. Okay, don't know what that's all about. Let's come out of there. Oh, that's the Facebook page. I don't know if you want to look at that. Sorry about that, guys. But as I said, tonight isn't really about anything. Excuse me. I don't mean to cough. That isn't COVID. So tonight isn't really about anything. I don't got anything planned for you per se, other than, like I said, I just want to sort of kind of get myself a little bit back into the routine and the rhythm of doing these things. because it has been a while, and my viewing figures have gone down incredibly rapidly. Do you know what I'm going to do? Just for something and for shits and giggles, let's just play my video in the background. How does that work? Snazzy. So where you were heading to, Kaz? I have to get going. This wet out there, but mini heat wave moves in from tomorrow. Well, enjoy the mini heat wave. That was something I was going to sort of talk about. Can you hear me okay? Prepper Chicken, Texas. It's going to get very difficult and take some time to get used to calling you that. We might have to call you PCT. Does that work? PCT? Hey, that's pretty weird. I just see myself in my hands up on there. So I don't know if or not. Sorry, I am trying to keep as close as I can to the microphone, because there are, as I mentioned earlier, been some reports that there's been a couple of audio issues in some of my recent uploads, but that is another thing that is also sort of added a little bit to my sorrows, and well, although the least of my worries is the time of year and the fact that summer is now kind of behind us. Warm and sunny days are going to be in their short supply and in few in number between now and October is only a few weeks away. It is coming up to the 19th anniversary of that fateful Tuesday morning in September 2001. Some of you may know around this time last year I was putting together the September Tuesdays series, a series of videos along with almost 200 other videos of mine that are no longer on this channel, that had to be removed or were removed or striked for one reason or another from YouTube. And just recently, one of my I guess not necessarily pride and joy, but during a recent community strike I got some months ago about the Nova Scotia shooting. Some of you may or may not recall that. Seems a lifetime ago now. So much has happened in 2020 and over the summer. Thinking back to those early days of the pandemic and that shooting in Nova Scotia in particular seems, as I said, a lifetime ago. But I picked up a community strike, and you should know the script by now if you do pay attention to me in these videos. During that week span where I couldn't upload or post or do anything go live that you normally can do when you don't have a community strike, I took it upon myself to try and maybe make TSP TV a little more presentable and possibly a little bit better than it had been up until then, and maybe try to improve shit video productions just a tiny bit, to almost the point of professionalism. However, we're quite a shortfall from professionalism yet, but as we are trying to look a little bit more sleeker and a little bit less tacky, and maybe kind of put in the mascots and shit in the background is a sort of way to go to avoid that. But as I said, I did go under a little bit of tutorials of myself, taught myself some edits, made some intros, tried to make things better, and in that time I also tried to put together a video about a movie, and you should be well aware of Soylent Green, the most predictive movie I can possibly give you an example of where we are more than likely heading right now, and the fact that the streets do already resemble scenes from Soylent Green. But just this week I received a copyright strike, and unfortunately that video now is no longer available to watch. Now, I'm not sure if or not nothing's wrong with Tacky Laurie, but maybe if people want to, I'm kind of trying to maybe make this a little bit more presentable, and maybe I'm kind of trying to make a few more people pay attention, and maybe tacky little squishy toys don't go down so seriously when you're trying to talk about serious matters. I'm not going to say that we're all going to go, no more fun and humor. Shit video productions is very much about not necessarily taking things seriously, but I do believe that some of my videos and some of my shit video productions, unbelievable. The speaker just activated itself. That is fucking very bizarre indeed. I had the volume turned down and it just activated himself. So there's nothing really wrong with Tacky. As I said, it's still there. It's just been pushed to the background, hasn't gone anywhere. But as I said, some of the videos I put out, I do feel are quite important. And in particular, there's been a few videos that I put out months and months and months before bigger and larger subscriber-based YouTubers put out the same content that some of you guys that watch me, not necessarily anybody is here, I'm kind of using that in general. Maybe some of you are watching it in retrospect and not actually live, but some of you guys out there have shared these larger YouTubers contents in videos weeks after I put up the exact same content, and it makes me wonder as to why exactly that is. Is it because maybe it is tacky, maybe it's a little bit quirky, maybe you're embarrassed to share it, maybe this is a dirty little secret you like to keep to yourself? I don't know, but we are trying to attract some more thrift fam to the thrift store, and partly because I do want to try and make this a little bit of my job and make a living from this. The other thing that has happened as a result, not necessarily as a result of my father dying, but in the time that my father died, I also found out that I wouldn't be returning to work. And when I did get a little bit of not necessarily excitement to be returning to work, that is far from the truth, but it was a little bit of, I guess, good news, and maybe some normality was returning, but my position there was only temporary until they could find somebody else that they could put on the books, because the government here in Canada, or certainly in Ontario, are paying 75% of businesses' payroll. This is part of the cashless society and part of the government takeover and the, becoming a nanny state, so to speak. Yeah, somebody is listening, but anyway, as I said, guys, we're trying to encourage a few more people here, and I do want to kind of make this a little bit of my job, and I would like to grow this, and may like to make a buck or two more than I have been. As I said, in this last 6 months, I've really been, the only income that I have been coming in has been as a result of donations in the tip jar from my YouTube. I've had no government handouts. I wasn't entitled, due to my lack of status here, to anything that the government was offering in terms of aid or benefits to those that are no longer essential now, due to the fact that there are so many businesses now that the government are paying 75% of their payroll. It's going to be very, very, very difficult for me to find cash employment right now, if at all. As I said, we are trying to be ushered and herded into a cashless society. The new world order has dawned. We haven't possibly realized it. Maybe we are in denial, but it's here. It's probably not going to go away, and it is only going to get worse. Now, there is some silver lining, very bittersweet silver lining to all this, that due to the fact that I am an only child and there was no one else in the family, I am going to be picking up a little bit of an inheritance, maybe not millionaire Lamborghinis, penthouse type inheritance, but certainly enough that maybe in the not so distant future I'm no longer going to be struggling paycheck to paycheck anymore, and may even be able to find myself in a position to possibly relocate somewhere warmer and maybe set up a little place of my own and set out my days and wait to die in the sunshine. But as I said, this is stuff I don't really want to go into yet. We don't want to count chickens before they hatch, and lots of terrain to navigate between there and then, but there is a little bit of silver lining to it. But as a result of the moment, in the last 6 months since this whole pandemic come down, I've been out without an income, and the fact that I've taught you all in for a couple of years or a year and a half prior to this pandemic breakout that we are now living under, I put together a little emergency food insurance pantry of my own, and as a result of putting that together, I've been able to feed myself quite comfortably for the last 6 months, and certainly have enough food to keep me going for a little bit longer. But anyway, let's have a little look what's going on there. It looks funny to see your two. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of playing around. Something I'm going to try very quickly, and we might even try and experiment with. Just give me a second. I am trying to do something, because this video about Soylent Green got removed for copyright strikes. Now, what I'm going to try and do is, sometimes you can still watch the video through the Studio app. So I'm going to see if I can go back in time and find it in the video section on my Studio app. and see if we can play it on the screen. There it is. Let me see if this will work. Yes, it will. Okay. Let's rock and roll, guys. So, as I said, this video was a little bit of my kind of... Hang on a second, let me keep the volume down. So this video... Oh, no, wait. I can do that. So my Soylent Green video, let's get back to that and try and catch... Oh, porca dio, somehow my fucking... I was just setting up the TV to watch it, and somehow it's turned itself off. But anyway, I put a lot of time and effort into putting together a video about Soylent Green, and it was an hour and 50 minutes long. However, when I did try to upload that, I was hit with copyright strikes, so I started to edit some part out of it, tried to upload it again, more copyright strikes, and I had to remove over an hour of that video to get a very, very heavily censored version of it up onto YouTube. And for 3 or 4 months, nobody bothered about that video. It wasn't an issue. There was no copyright strikes, nothing like that. However, just this last week, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh yes, it is. Hold on. So anyway, this video got copyright striked. Now, if or not this video, this live stream will get copyright striked or not, I don't know. So let me just do what I'm trying to do here. And let me... So this is the banned video. Just trying to get some volume. Let me know if you can hear. Hey guys, what's up? And a very warm welcome to TSP TV. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the predictive programming in Soylent Green, and in regards rather to where we are in today's society with the COVID-19 global pandemic. Now, for me, Soylent Green is possibly one of the most pathetic pieces of fiction I could possibly imagine, along with the likes of 1984, They Live, The Matrix, perhaps, and in more recent times, movies like Ready Player One, and going back into the 70s and in the 80s, there's been movies like Logan's Run and Soylent Green, which we're going to be looking at now, which kind of portrays rather dystopian future in which maybe due to pollution, due to pandemic, due to disease and virus, climate change, dare I say it. How dare you, Greta Thunberg? Maybe I should put a little thing in there. I probably will. I'm just practicing with my editing now. But a little funny meme about Greta there. But anyway, climate change, the pandemic, these are things that are very, very contemporary. These are not things from the realms of fiction, as in Soylent Green, which we're looking at in particular. Maybe we'll do some stuff on Logan's Run and the other movies I mentioned in the future. Now, if you have been a follower of TSP TV for a while, you will know, of course, that I actually did have quite a lot of predicting programming and truth-related material on my channel. However, due to community strikes putting me in a code situation very, very close to termination, rather than lose my channel, I did delete a little bit of that content. Actually, a lot of that content I deleted, over half of my videos. But here we are back in 2020. I'm trying to do another little bit of a predictive programming video because it is so relevant. with today's topics and possibly where we might be heading in the not so distant future. So at the moment, you know, if you go out, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're going to be seeing people that are going to be wearing face masks and gloves. Outside of grocery stores now, you see people waiting 6 feet apart, or you know, waiting in long lines to get a cart. In many of the supermarkets and grocery stores have limited occupancy now. You can't overfill it due to you know, the pandemic bylaws that have been introduced wherever you may be in whatever town and city. But this is something that I can see every day in my hometown of Toronto, Canada. Something I've actually experienced myself, going to the grocery store, having to wait in line, seeing some of the grocery customers waiting with gloves on, with masks on. Not all of them, but quite a few. And again, you know, last year, summer of 2019, it was all about little Greta Thunberg and how dare you rant about the climate change and the climate cult that she was breeding. Possibly a new religion, maybe even a subject for another day, and also a subject that's already been removed from this channel, unfortunately. But we'll stay away from these things. We don't want to be getting community strikes and stuff like that if we can help it. But the climate cult, you know, the world is on fire. We're gonna, you know, be dying in 10 years' time, also known as pandemic. We're going to be dead in 10 years if we don't flatten the curve, all leading into Agenda 2030. So what's Agenda 2030 going to look like when we get there? Well, from my opinion, I really believe it is going to look an awful lot like Soylent Green. Now we're building smart cities, mega cities, if you like, from the realms of Judge Dredd, 2000 AD comic book character. Where again, due to overpopulation in the future and pandemics and climate change, everybody's kind of been hoarded up and welded into one big, large megastructure city of billions. And I think there's 10 mega cities around the world. Nowhere else. You can't live anywhere else other than in a mega city. But are we going to start seeing the launch of smart cities here in our day and age? Quite possibly. They're already beginning here in Toronto. I've made a few references to these in previous videos. And we've got lots of high-rise buildings, condos, you know, thumbprint, facial recognition, Alexa, Google Home, all this kind of spyware built into the walls. You know, can, hey, pour me a bath, and you'll get your bath poured. And hey, you know, brew me coffee at 7:30 in the morning. It happens, all singing, all dancing. Smart cities, but these are going to be reserved for those who can possibly afford it, or maybe people who remain as essential workers. Some people now are non-essential, and those non-essential people in the future, they might have to line up and wait for government handouts, be it Soylent Green wafers or $1,200 checks each and every month, which you have to try and live on. So we're going to start out by looking at a couple of little trailers and points from the movie Soylent Green, and then a little later on we'll be looking at some pictures and stuff and pointing out some of the similarities from the movie from 1973 to what we see on the streets today in 2020. So roll credits.
Years from today, nothing runs, nothing works. But people are the same, and people will do anything to get what they need. What they need most is Soylent Green.
So there's a little snippet of the original trailer for Soylent Green. It came out in 1973. Now, you know, you may notice straight off the bat they were talking about nothing running and nothing working. It's pretty much like now, unless you're an essential member of staff, pretty much most major cities around the globe are on a kind of, you know, lockdown. It's like a ghost town here in Toronto. I'm pretty sure that is the same wherever you are, as people just aren't going out. Stores, businesses, everything is closed up, a little bit like they were saying there in the trailer. Now, you know, it was set at the time of making, it was set 50 years in the future, and it was set in 2022. Now, Soylent Green was, as I said, produced in 1973 by Richard Fletcher. I can't say that name, I'm sorry. But anyway, he was the director. John Heston starred in it alongside a couple of other Chuck Connors. Yeah, I think it was Chuck Connors, and I was thinking of Chuck Norris for a second. But yeah, there was a few 70s celebrities and stars in there. Most of all, Charlton Heston was the lead role, and of course his end scene, and Soylent Green was up there with the end scene in Planet of the Apes. You know, damn you, you did it to yourselves, you maniacs. When he found out it was Earth in Soylent Green at the end of the movie, he finds out that Soylent Green is in fact people. The Soylent Green is, of course, in the movie realms. It's a food substance made from ocean-based plankton. That's what they claim. That's what the company who makes Soylent Green claim it is a plankton rich in protein that is harvested from the oceans. Now, something also we have at the moment in today's society, good old Greta Thunberg again, the vegans and their Beyond Meat products, you know, beyond meatballs, beyond burgers, beyond Kentucky Fried Chicken, all this soya-based Franken foods. It's kind of made in a factory to resemble meat as closely and as much as possible. Now, Soylent Green actually comes in the fiction. The company name comes from soya and lentils, which were two things that, you know, were put together, vegetable ingredients or vegetarian ingredients that were put together to create the name Soylent. And that's what they did. Were making health-based food substitutes due to the fact that there was a shortage of food within Soylent Green. Now, again, there isn't exactly a shortage of food at the moment, but we have seen shortages on things like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, soap, stuff like this, personal hygiene products. But most importantly, toilet paper was the first thing that became a commodity of luxury, and you can find for love and money for a few weeks until they restock. Now, we're already seeing around the world at the moment that farmers are indeed dumping you know, their milk, they are throwing away their harvests and crops, potatoes, eggplants, zucchinis, all these things I've seen on my social media feed. Some of you may have also seen similar news articles on your news feeds about such goings on with food and farm companies and dumping crops and stuff like this because of the supply chain. Now, if not the supply, you know, we've got essential workers. Why is the supply chain being affected? I don't know. Maybe that's another topic for another day. But back to Soylent Green, there's not a lot of food. There is a scarcity of living spaces. Most people have kind of left rural areas and gone and populated the cities because that's where aid and help was being offered to people just, you know, suffering from all the other radiation, fallout, pandemics, viruses, stuff that's going on in the world and realms of Soylent Green. So each and every Tuesday, the government lines up and they hand out Soylent Green to each and every member of society. Now, we've already seen in the United States and in North America, National Guard and volunteer or non-profit organizations handing out food parcels to people. Car lots were, you know, turned into to kind of socialist drive-through breadline type things where cars lined up and they were given boxes of essential items. And again, who deems what is essential in this situation? Certainly not the individual. And they say beggars can't be choosers. Although the choice to beg is a choice in itself, and beggars can also choose where they beg, for how long they beg, in what they spend their money on, you know, the money they resort. These are choices. So don't let anyone tell you that beggars can't be choices. Beggars may have limited choices, but they have choices nonetheless. Well, anyway, the society in Soylent Green has to line up. They have to wait in line for their food parcels. We will look at some photographs in this in a little bit future, and a little bit further on in this episode. But as we've seen at the first hand, a little glimpse of what's happened, people lining up outside the stores in Soylent Green. When they come out, they didn't get enough food, and, you know, riots and stuff like this do occur quite frequently throughout the movie, due to the fact there isn't enough food. People are in hard times, and you know, tensions are high, and they also have population control or crowd dispersals. But the Soylent Green, because of how society has become. There are also euthanasia centres. So there's like, this is where the food and the drug ministry kind of work hand in hand. Very, very cryptic stuff going on here in Soylent Green, because we have on one side of the spectrum, we have the health industry, which offer assisted euthanasia, where if you're very, very tired of living and struggling in society that is polluted, famine, almost disease spread, then you can go to one of these health run private enterprises, I guess, private facilities, where you can go sign up, pay a few bucks, and they will dignified and safely and dignifiedly put you to sleep, like a dog or a cat, basically. But then that's not where the story ends, because once you've been euthanized, they don't dispose you, they don't cremate you, they don't bury you in the ground. No. What they do is they have the health administration. They hand over to the food administration, and basically the corpses become the source of protein, which they mix up, blend up into kind of a paste, and then pass it off as Soylent Green, the ocean-based plankton protein. And as I said, in this day and age, we do have Beyond Meat. Is Beyond Meat Soylent Green? I don't know. I can't suggest that they will say for actual fact that there is humans in Beyond Meat product, but it wouldn't surprise me. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did. So let's get back to another little clip for you, and we'll see you afterwards.
Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Soylent Green is people! Because from today, nothing runs, nothing works. He gave me a quarter of a kilo. But people are the same. And people will do anything to get what they need. What they need most is Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, Lee Taylor Young, Chuck Connors. Fight for survival and solve the most bizarre riddle ever to face mankind. This is the police. I'm asking you to disperse. The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted. Why does Soylent Green mean life? You must disperse. The scoops are on your way. Why does Soylent Green mean death? Soylent Green.
So there we had the climatic ending to Soylent Green, where Charlton Heston, after doing some investigation, gets into the Soylent Green processing plant and finds out that the bodies from the euthanasia clinic. We will be watching the euthanasia scene very, very shortly. But the bodies from the euthanasia scene then get loaded onto trucks and carts and end up at the Soylent Green factory, where the bodies are then processed into the fancy little green wafer cracker type things that they then distribute to the population. Now, you've seen in also the opening little title that we saw here, sequence that we saw here, that people were waiting in line outside and they were being distributed food by what looked like government officials. I mean, they could also be United Nations officials, although it did look like they were the law enforcement and police force of the time in Soylent Green. And remember, it's set in the year 2022, which is just 2 years from now, not very far away at all. And what also isn't very far away is 2030. Now, the United Nations, the Unified Nancies, as I like to call them, or Nazis, I don't know how, I got a bit of a regional dialect. It's a difficult word to say because I can't pronounce my T's. But anyway, the United Nations, back in the 90s, they had something, they come up with a plan called Agenda 21, which has now been transformed into Agenda 2030 now, and originally, and still is, its incentive is for sustainable development, where they want to end hunger and poverty, but really and truly what it is a depopulation agenda that we will be looking into momentarily, but that is what their plan is, to try and depopulate the world in order to have a sustainable environment for both wildlife, plant and vegetation, and humanity living in stability with the planet, so to speak. And this is where little Greta Thunberg comes into it with her climate cult, brainwashing the masses of the young. The young generation seem to follow her. She's like the Pied Piper, and they are the mindless, brainless, MK Ultra'd zombies. They lack independent thought. They are a generation that has been brought up by smart technology, be it a phone or a tablet. Most kids these days have one at a very young age, and sometimes these tablets and devices which contain artificial intelligence become babysitters and sometimes kindergarten teachers, and teach at a very, very young age undeveloped minds with a little bit of mind control in brainwashing implantations and the lack of independent thought. So these guys are following around, they're all young people, but by the time Agenda 2030 comes around, they're going to be adults. They're probably going to be maybe homeowners, they may have jobs, educations, who knows. They might well be part of the essential workforce, they might be part of the non-essential workforce, they might be lining up for their Soylent Green every Tuesday, or they might be, in the fancy luxury apartments that are all singing or dancing, bells and whistles, Alexa built into the wall. But they're going to be the voters, and they're going to be the adults that will accept this change. They've been brainwashed at a young, just like the National Socialists in Germany used the Hitler Youth as an organization to spread propaganda and to control the minds, the undeveloped minds, I hasten to add, of the young in order to accept their ideology, just like the climate cult are being brainwashed and used as a propaganda tool. You can't really kind of criticize kids and stuff. Oh, they're kids, bless them, women and children are kind of off limits, but they're young children, and they're having their minds molded and created for the society that we're heading towards under the Agenda 2030 guidelines, all about environmental health. And this is why the climate cult will possibly become some kind of new religion, the climatists. A little bit like a new Catholic church, but in the guise of all things earthly. And little Saint Greta will probably become the Mother Teresa of that religion. But we digress. Back to Soylent Green. So as we see in the movie, they are very, very, poverty-stricken. Nobody has anything. They're getting government handouts from what could possibly be the United Nations or law enforcement or a government agency, maybe even FEMA. These organizations are all part and parcel and have their part to play in Agenda 2030. And we already see now that the United States is under FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency guidelines. They handed over the presidency to FEMA, I think, on March the 13th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was last month that the United Nations, not the United Nations, the Federal Emergency Management Agency took control of the United States. And it was always believed in the New World Order agenda that in order to kind of remove what laws and regulations and Constitution and Bill of Rights, freedoms and liberties humanity has, they're going to have to create some kind of global pandemic or global crisis, rather, that could be a pandemic. It could possibly be some kind of crisis for outer space. But where we seen on 9/11, we had the Islamic terrorists that were used as the Lee Harvey Oswald in that particular psychological operation. we had a war on terror, and Islam was to be feared. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, these were the phantom menaces that we used to keep us in order, and was also used as the reason to implement radical amendments to the Constitution, the unpatriotic Patriot Act for one, spy on your neighbours, see something, say something, that kind of time mentality. And that's where we are today with the pandemic. We have see something, say something. If your neighbour isn't abiding by the government regulations or bylaws, that you can only go out for 1 hour a day for exercise, and even then the reasons that you go out are very, very limited, you know, to run, to jog, to go and get essential groceries or medication, walking your dog perhaps, but other than that, you know, you're very, very limited in what you can do, certainly in the United Kingdom. And we also have curfews and quarantines and shelter-in-place orders issued here in North America. In Canada here, we are under a state of emergency in Ontario and Toronto, where I live, and pretty much everything, you know, is locked up. It's like a ghost town. There are a few essential stores open, but a lot of other places aren't open, and a lot of people are out of work. A lot of people are struggling, and already people are receiving government assistance. But there are a lot of folks now, it's nearly sort of 2 months into this, a month and a half perhaps into this global pandemic, and now people that weren't necessarily prepared for this situation are finding they are running out of food. And we've already seen some kind of socialist style lineups in grocery stores, in non-profit organizations, in National Guard type places, where they've been distributing food parcels and food boxes to civilians because they don't have anything. And that's what we see in Soylent Green here. We see people lining up. Every Tuesday is Soylent Green Day. Those that don't have anything, every Tuesday they have to go out, wait in line and get a scoop of Soylent Green. And as you also saw in the marketplace, in the trailer scene that we did see, there's other sort of independent retailers there trying to sort of make a buck or two for themselves by also selling off, you know, other food items that are very, very expensive. And this is something that we're seeing today. Food prices are suddenly becoming a little bit more higher. People are already mentioning that things that they, you know, were like, you know, basic everyday necessities are almost becoming luxury. Prices of cheese and things, yet we see big dairy factories dumping gallons and gallons and gallons of milk in the tens of thousands. Why? I don't know. Are they generating and creating a food shortage? Possibly they are. Last year in 2019, we had some very, very strange weather events. We're also having some strange weather events right now that cause some pretty bad damage to crops, livestock, and other such things that does end up, you know, part of the food industry, be it, you know, for food for livestock or food for human consumption. This stuff is going to be in shortage, and we have already seen the toilet paper shortage, and maybe that was a little bit of planning and dummy run. They used an item that wasn't necessarily going to kill or cause too much discomfort if you run out of it. I mean, you can always use a sock or a piece of newspaper if you need to, but you can't, you know, you can't eat a sock if you've got no food. So are they using that as a little bit of a practice run to get used to people running out of items? And are we going to start seeing food being scarce once again on the shelves like it was in the early days of the pandemic, where everyone went out and panic shopped and started becoming preppers overnight? But Soylent Green Society, they don't have anything. They have to, the majority of folks don't have anything, and there is a very small population, small amount of people that live in relative luxury. I'm guessing this is the wealthy and the elites that are depicted in there, and people that are, you know, own chairmen, vice principals, what all these kind of, you know, CEO type little you know, acronym things that they have. Industry types, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, I got a little bit lost in my train of thought there, but the people, the haves and the have-nots, and the haves have an awful lot, whereas the have-nots don't have fuck all except for their little bag of Soylent Green, which is made of human parts. Now, as I said, at the moment in 20th century or 21st century, right, modern world, people are lining up in the streets outside grocery stores. They're wearing masks, they're wearing gloves. They're being told that they're only limited certain amount of items per customer. So, you may be only be able to get 2 packets of toilet paper. You might only be able to get 2 cartons of milk, 2 cases of eggs, things like this. We're already seeing kind of that regulated kind of consumerism, as well as having to wait outside in line in order to go in. And we're also seeing many places now that are no longer accepting cash because they feel that cash is part of how the virus is transmitted from person to person. Whether or not you believe it is up to you. But back once again, we see the people in sort of with nothing. We see that there's a large corporation that is involved. We see the Food and Drug Administration representative. They're kind of hand in glove. The health people are euthanizing people because it's such an unpleasant living conditions anymore, and the food industry is profiting off of what would otherwise be waste or compost, so profits to be had on both. They're profiting on the suffering of the people that can't live in the society, and they're also profiting from the people living in the society. Both hands are feeding the same mouth, so to speak. So are we going to start seeing that in the future? Are we going to see, a society that due to this pandemic, we're going to have to live under strict quarantine restrictions? We're only going to be allowed a certain amount of items at the groceries for those that are essential and have wealth. For those that don't have wealth, are we going to have to wait in line every Tuesday for our government handouts, be it a token gesture of cash or a box of Soylent Green or Beyond Meat products? And this is where the vegetarianism comes into it. And again, little Greta Thunberg, she's a vegan as well, and the vegan agenda, the climate cult, all hand in glove, mold in the minds. And we're seeing, that possibly livestock is going to be in short supply. Meat is becoming also pretty expensive right now at the groceries. And in Soylent Green, Charlton Heston brings home a very small piece of beef for his friend Saul, and they haven't tasted it in years and years and years and years, and it's only a very tiny piece. But are we going to start seeing meat become short supply, and are we going to be forced into purchasing these kind of Beyond Meat substitute products? And is this what the minds of the climate cult will be in mind in order to accept once it becomes a norm? It won't be, it will kind of be filling into their little kind of climate cultist utopia. Hey, everyone's a vegan now. But many of us might not want to be vegan or have the choice. And again, the Beyond Meat Corporation, they're a huge part of the Food and Drug Administration. And there is reason to believe, or rumours to believe, that possibly they're using the HEK293, which is human embryonic kidney tissue, which is used as a form of food colouring as well as in some medicines, I believe cancer research. But HEK, human embryonic kidney 293, is a substance you should look at. I'll put a little picture here for you so you can just see for yourself. Interesting stuff. Is the HEK293 in the Beyond Burger, is this the Soylent Green of today's society? Are we inadvertently becoming cannibals? Are we inadvertently being forced into eating plant-based diets, just like the society in Soylent Green? That's all they have to eat is Soylent Green, Soylent Red and Soylent Yellow. As I said, it's been handed out to them by the government. Are we going to see in a year or two, if this pandemic doesn't go away, if we have, the Pandemic Act, and there's going to be levels of pandemic level orange, pandemic level red, pandemic level green? No, there's no pathogens in the air. We've got a code green. You can go outside. Oh no, it's a code orange. Pandemic alert, you're going to have to, self-isolate, you're going to have to social distance, and we will be distributing your Soylent Green every Tuesday. Don't worry about that, folks. We'll keep you fed while you're under self-isolation. And God only knows what happens if it gets to a code red. Are we going to start have decontamination camps? Are we going to have euthanasia clinics to get rid of those that are infected, that don't want to suffer? So anyway, we're going to look at another little scene now before I ramble on too much, that also is a little bit relevant with today's society in regards to the social, self isolation and social distancing. People now have only allowed to be out for 1 hour a day. Some people are under curfew; they're not allowed out after a certain time. People are in shelter in place. But we're going to show you this little scene now from Soylent Green, which is again the opening segment. Pay very close attention to the announcement being made over the public address system, and we'll see you once the clip is done. My bad, guys. I don't know what's wrong. Somehow I inadvertently turned the TV off. But anyway, I don't know if you were getting sick and tired of that. That put an abrupt end. It was a little bit loud. Some of the segments are louder than the other. But I did notice we have lost a few viewers. I did see Smitty and Shawnee had places to go, but we have dropped down a little bit. But that was the banned video from YouTube recently banned that, and took it down as a part of a copyright infringement. Apparently, Warner Bros. No longer are allowing me to use content I used in there. But that was a shame, because it was quite interesting watching that and seeing if any of you were paying attention or not out there in the chat. You know what we could also do? Hold on a second. See if we can. There we go. There I am. Hi, how are you guys? We used to do this. So let's see if I can get the TV on again, get your comments up. So anyway, guys, there I am. There you are. I know it was. You always say it's okay, Nancy. You're like my mum. Always says it's okay, even if I got a D minus. When that teacher doesn't know what he's talking about. It's an A plus at least, son. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was a little bit fun. Maybe, again, something we can try in the future. I might put together a little sort of presentation in a day, and then we can watch it together live and then interact with what we're seeing a little bit. Behave, Laurie, whatever it is you've been smoking in your pipe. Maybe cut down a little bit if you think I'm sexy. But anyway, it is good to see you. We do try to do a little bit of FaceTime with you all nowadays. I haven't been feeling much like being in front of the camera lately. I've got a little bit of colour. There was some sunshine yesterday I took advantage of. But as I said, the winter days are coming in quicker and fewer. No, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. God, I lost a little bit of my train of thought there. What am I trying to do? Get your comments back up on the screen, perhaps. So anyway, I don't know if or not you were enjoying that, or even if you watched the Soylent Green video when I did upload it, but still an awful lot of relevance from then and now. And you know, that video is nearly 4 or 5 months old now. I did put that up. We had about another 20 minutes or so. Don't know if you can see that. That's where it stopped. So we had a little bit about 20 minutes ago. I don't know if you guys want to watch the rest of it or not, or if we just give it a break and we can see that another time. So we're coming close to the hour mark. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm a little bit far away from the camera, and I'm not sure if or not the microphone will pick up my voice. But as I said, guys, that is strange, because that video is blocked now on YouTube. You can't watch it. So if or not this live stream will get the same community strike, I don't know. Be interesting to see, kind of, again, what I'm experimenting with there. But I need to try and turn. Oh, it's happened again. Keep turning the volume off, but I can read your comments on here if they're got a church here that refuses to close and is a COVID-free zone. Well, in the last sort of few weeks, there does seem to be a little bit more activity in and around the city of Toronto. Not that I've been out much, certainly in the last week of that. Oh, that's good to know that sounds good. Thank you for the feedback there, Becky. Okay, we will leave it for another day, Nancy. That's a very, very polite say of saying you were bored and we're just putting up with it to be polite. But as I said, it was a little bit of experiment. I think we did that with the call-in show we had with Kelly Kibo in her experience in her cult. Why do I forget what that was called? Straight Incorporated. That was the name of the organization in the cult. She was in for a couple of years, but we put together a little sort of segment before we spoke to her on the phone about, you know, showing a little highlighting some of the stuff that Straight was all about, and that was kind of a little bit of a format I really do want to try and bring to the live show. Maybe not every live show, but perhaps once a week. And now, as I said, I'm out of work, I've got every single day free. We might try and do a little bit more regular, 2 or 3 times a week, get a live show out, as well as trying to put out some kind of daily video for you. But don't hold me to that. As I said, it's been a very fucked up few weeks for me in many ways than one. In 1 minute I kind of feel a little bit active and alert, and 6 hours later I realize I've just been sat at the wall with a spliff in my mouth that I haven't even lit. But anyway, the ups and downs of dealing with grief are something that you can't really do much about other than let them run their course and do whatever it is you can to kind of distract yourself or avoid them temporarily. But as I said, guys, I'm out of work now. We're going to go back in to the thrift store, as in a TSP, a TV, not an actual thrift store, and try and put out some productions and try and sort of make this a little bit of my job, if only just to give me some kind of daily routine and stop me staring at the walls for 6 hours at a time. Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays are good for me. Well, that isn't exactly God, what's again? My brain just isn't working in its normal capacity. But that isn't a lot. I've been thinking along those lines. That's what I'm trying to say, Laurie. That maybe Monday or maybe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't know, because we did usually do the Saturday live with the Tea and Friends. That was always a fun thing to do. I've been in touch with Maddie. I was having a little chat to her today. I haven't seen those guys since we hung out at the beach last. But that's not because they didn't want to. It's just because I've been in my own sort of funk, my own space. Say my internet connection is unstable. A little pop-up just come up. It is indeed, Laurie, but I have been watching some interesting stuff. I can't remember. I think it was Shawnee. She's not here anymore. Said she's been watching a lot of B movies and stuff. I started out watching a lot of kind of sort of family comedy-esque movies just to kind of see something nice and, you know, horror and not sad or heart-wrenching. So just watching sort of comedy movies and some sort of family stuff was quite fun. But yesterday, Becky P, I started telling her and a couple of other people about it. Yesterday I started to watch a new TV show that just come out to be streamed. I'm not entirely sure what platform it's on, if it's on Amazon Prime, if it's on Netflix or what. I think it's Max is the studio that produces it, but it is called Raised by Wolves, and very, very interesting, very disturbing. I'm 3 episodes in. I'm not sure how many episodes in total there are. But anyway, this TV show is set in the future, 150 or so years in the future, 2145, I think, or 2150, something like that. And it does have sort of some flashbacks, but future flashback, not flashbacks to this day. But it takes place after the world is destroyed. Now, there was a civil war or something. The world was divided between a religion and atheists, and it was a new religion that we don't know about, and they worship someone called Saul, and I can't remember the name of this religion now. But anyway, there was a civil war, world gets wiped out. There are artificial android killer robots that go around flying in the sky, wiping people out with a sonic sound from their voice. But the series starts with these 2 artificial intelligent androids, one female, one male. One is called Father, one is called Mother, and they're in a little spaceship. They land on a planet. When they get to the planet, they kind of take some suitcases out of their spaceship, and in these suitcases are embryos. And then the male android puts some tubes into the belly of the mother android, and she's very strange because she's naked. She's got a head of a woman, but she's got no tits or no coochie, nothing. Very andromeda, is that the word? I don't know. But has no sexual features whatsoever, other than she looks like a female, talks like a woman. It's fucking spooky as fuck, made in my tunnel. But anyway, they arrive in this planet. They then start to plug her into these little embryo, little kind of Tupperware tubs that have the embryos in them. Then it fast forwards 9 months and the babies are being born, a tiny little thing, and they kind of come out of this little tub, and then he wraps them up, puts them in an incubator type thing. However, of course it is, what do I tell you guys? Fiction prepares us for reality. This is why I decode fiction. That's why I had a lot of predictive programming videos on this channel. Sorry, the eyes are freaking me out. I can't look at them. That's better. But anyway, these 6 little babies, and again, 6 little babies are born to these 2 androids, and then the android mother and the android father take care of these children. However, one of the infants at birth isn't breathing and doesn't breathe for a few minutes. But in this time that the baby isn't breathing, the male android says to the mother, that's okay, we can break it down and use it as protein for the other infants. Break it down, feed it. The dead infant gets fed to the healthy infants. However, within 10 minutes, and I shit you not, within 10 minutes of this movie, or not this movie, this TV show starting, or streaming show starting, 5 of the babies die. Although over a period of time, they kind of show, you know, like 4 years later, 3 years later, 10 years later. But they all die. Some sickness, one girl falls down a big pit, they all die. And leave only 1 child. On the purpose of these 2 androids and taking the suitcases of embryos was to find a place that they could then repopulate the human species, and they were kind of the last remnants, or one of the last hopes, as well as this other fraction of humans that built an Ark-like spaceship that went into space. And that is another interesting fuck me, this show is so rich in programmatic material, it is untrue. But this spacecraft got sent from Earth into space with the hopes of finding another planet that could repopulate Earth, and a couple hundred people or so were put on this ark called Heaven. Now these were the religious types, the atheists and the androids. I should probably try and get some pictures up, but I'm probably going to do an episode, fiction decoded episode solely on the show, just because it is so fascinating. But these people, that when they get on the spaceship, have to go into hibernation for 13 years. 13. A lot of numerology in this as well. But they have to go into hibernation for 13 years. But for 13 years, they can live and think and interact with everybody in a simulated reality called the Sim. But they don't age, they just have avatars. So when they kind of reach their destination, although they still have the body in age that when they left. So if you're a 13-year-old boy, which there is a character who's 13, although he's 26 because he's been awake for 13 years living in the simulation, he still is a 13-year-old boy. But it is the living in the simulation where everything is so very real. And the sort of genesis of these 2 robots that give birth to these babies, that very few survive. Now 3 boys and 3 girls, and there's a black boy, a Chinese girl, a white boy. There are different colors, mixed race of children. But anyway, the simulated reality. Are we living in a simulated reality? That's something I've often mentioned in the past and almost joked with sort of people about us living in a simulated reality, but something I do actually have a little bit of a possibility of a belief system that is the answer to everything. This is a computer simulation, and there is the Sentient World Simulation computer, supercomputer out in MIT. Huge warehouse fits this computer, where all of our data that we put into our cell phone via our keyboard application is saved and stored. And this is pretty much how they are controlling us now, because they've run all of our behavioral patterns through algorithms and come up with the exact perfect scenario which will affect us all. And there we are now. So we are living in somewhat of an augmented reality, although how augmented, how simulated it is, I don't know. But nothing we see on the news is real. Nothing we hear or see in real life seems to be real. Everything on the TV is so very fake, and even the skies in weather don't seem normal anymore. So how much augmentation is going on, I do not know, and I'm absolutely forgot what I was talking about. That's right, the show Raised by Wolves. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Raised by Wolves that is extraordinarily disturbing: cannibalism, infanticide, atheism, religion, civil wars, earth destruction. It would be nice if you could turn off and go home, or maybe go to an 8-bit type simulated game where things would be a little bit simpler. But it is a fascinating show. It is directed by Ridley Scott of Alien fame, and I believe it is produced by his son. It is our world, and it's very much easier. You know, another video I put up very recently that hardly anybody watched was electromagnetic mind control. This is how we're being controlled: electromagnetic frequencies and stuff like this. God, I keep forgetting. This is kind of why I do struggle with these videos. My mind kind of flicks and switches between different things. Let me try and reframe my thing, but yeah, sorry guys, really lost my train of thought. I was talking about the electromagnetic mind control. Not sure why I was talking about that or why I mentioned that, but Laurie, sounds like our world. That's right, electromagnetic mind control, but at the same time, mind control propaganda is in many shapes and forms, and we learn things more from fiction than we do with reality. You know, for example, when I was at school and I was being taught by the teacher, I wasn't paying attention. I was daydreaming. I was outside. I was elsewhere. But fiction prepares us for reality. I say this all the time, guys, and I've decoded a lot of fiction, predicted programming video content for you over the years. I don't know how much of that information you've retained, how much attention you paid to them at the time that I did upload them, if or not you saw them at all. Never mind, too late, they've gone now. But this prepares us for our reality, and we learn a hell of a lot more from watching fiction than we do from being taught things in an educational capacity. And I told you as well, you know, how shows like Friends, for example, kind of programmatic and programmed society to behave like the friends that they saw on TV. And this is how we learn behavioral patterns. This is how they're doing it. And all this weird kind of shows and stuff that have been put out on streaming platforms through this pandemic is very interesting. Upload another show I did a predictive programming video on, literally the weekend that show come out. I binge watched it along with Baby P, and put a video out as soon as I could, but they are brainwashing us all. We are all being played, and even the truth community. Don't even think for 1 minute that the truth community is immune from mind control or being manipulated or being you know, kind of, what am I trying to say? Disnavigated, no, misdirected. Thank you, my God. As I said, guys, please apologize. My mind isn't exactly working. It is, but again, back to kind of what I was saying at the beginning, the outset of this, that I do kind of feel that sometimes I put out videos that are very relevant and quite important, and some of these videos don't get comments. Some of these videos get very few views, and hardly ever at all do these videos get watched. And just today, Jason Goodman, the larger channel, someone I actually do follow, someone I do pay a lot of attention to, not a lot of attention, don't watch daily, but he does kind of put out a very kind of unbiased, informative show. We do share a lot of similarities, but again, today this guy had a fucking think tank of some of the greatest minds in the conspiracy world on the planet. Ollie Damagard, Jason Goodman, a couple other guys that are very deep rooted within the truth movement, the conspiracy world. They had a think tank. They put together a show. Hey, we're going to go and talk more about this on Patreon, but this little 30-minute segment is free. All of them talking about electromagnetic mind control, something I put a video about nearly 5 weeks ago that only 70 people have watched. And this kind of makes me wonder, why do I bother? How can we get the word? I mean, it's good to get the message out to some people, but when I don't even get comments on these videos, it makes me wonder how much attention they pay for it. And then again, when I kind of see some of the thrift fam sharing videos of a similar content by larger, more established YouTubers, it makes me wonder why they don't share mine on the same content, especially. Or maybe they had to wait for somebody else to say it. Oh, maybe he was right, didn't believe him at the time, but now a bigger guy said it. it must be some legitimacy to it. But as I said, I don't know exactly. I don't have the answers as to why some videos just don't get any content. I mean, I put a video up about Transformers and real life Transformers, 151 views, 0 comments, not one person. Nancy couldn't even put a couple of emojis on that video, and I even went to the video to look to see if maybe somehow inadvertently I'd disabled comments, but I didn't. They were available, but nobody felt like comment on that. So as I said, guys, these are things that kind of were a little bit of an issue and something that I was scratching my head with and trying to sort of overcome and combat a little bit, but then my dad went and died. Then I went and found out I wasn't getting a job. So these things don't really seem, or didn't seem, so relevant for the last few weeks. But as I said, I'm trying to get back into a little bit of routine, try and get back into the habit of making videos and going live, because this is my job now, and it would be nice to get a few donations and tips coming back in, because I haven't really had much for the last couple of weeks since I did pick up the last couple of $100 that I was owed for the few days that I worked before the death of my father, and it's been another sort of 3 or 4 weeks gone by since that. So as I said, Baby P, or one of the mods, if you would be so kind maybe to put the tip jar link in the chat as we think about maybe wrapping this up now. But as I said, a lot of people's lives have taken a real turn for the thing. And summertime is one of those sort of times of year where people are out and about doing things, enjoying the warmer weather, maybe spending more family time, or out in the garden prepping, canning peaches, canning squash. I know Judy Bell has been on a bit of a mission canning and prepping stuff over these last few weeks, so maybe, you know, that is possibly why my videos don't get as many views. But as I said, I do put some very relevant and informative stuff out that maybe a few more people would benefit from hearing, and certainly, again, from my perspective, when I kind of say this and then a few weeks after I've said it, bigger YouTubers are saying that, it's like, fucking told you so. Anyway, let's not get too big. Thank you very, very much, Baby Pamplin, for doing that. So as I said, guys, this is kind of my job now. I'm actually going to hang up unless I really, really have no option. I'm going to hang up the apron and retire from the kitchen. And as I said, there is a little bit of silver lining. EMP strikes, alien invasions, zombie apocalypse aside. Let's hope none of that shit happens between now and the... Hey, Killer Kyle, glad to see you here. So hopefully we kind of can avoid any more catastrophic shit hitting the fan type Armageddon scenarios between now and the point I can finally claim my inheritance in the sort of silver lining that is very bittersweet as a result of my father passing, and there is a lot of uncertainty in my life at the moment. I don't know how long ago I'm going to be in Canada, if I'm going to have to be back in the UK, or if I am indeed going to try and once I get a little bit of money, relocate somewhere warm. But at the time being, I have no work, I have no income. I've been very, very down and depressed ever since. Well, I have issues that prevent me from heading south of the border. I've got another year on my ban from the United States. But Laurie, that is I've been having lots of ideas. I don't really want to get too carried away with them. But one of them was maybe heading to Central America, buying myself some kind of bug out vehicle, and just be mobile. The best way to stay unavoided is be on the road. So I'm glad to see you, Killer Buddy. I haven't seen you for a while. It's nice to see some of the familiar thrift fam in the thing. And hello there, Kathy Title from Oregon. I don't know if or not you're a newbie, if you've been around for a while, or a quiet subscriber or viewer. But anyway, welcome to the thrift store. I know you are in Canada, but Laurie, honestly, darling, I'm hoping that I'm not going to spend or experience another Canadian winter after this one ever again. Fingers crossed. But the world has other ideas, then who are we to fucking stop it? And as I said, the one world order is in full effect, and God knows what fucking draconian tyrannical measures they are going to roll out next. Is this scam pandemic is here to stay, it's never going away. That almost wrapped. I should be starting to rhyme, but no, I can't even go there. Sorry guys. What did you want? An email? Sorry, did I miss something there? Who needs an email? Canadian winters. But what was I going to say? So yeah, something I did think about is maybe buying myself some kind of van, camper van, something like that. I bet that's a tough ordeal to do at the moment, selling a house. But yeah, bugging out. God knows, there might even be a prospect that we could even maybe make Thriftopia a reality. I'm I'm new. Well, welcome. We always do like to get newcomers. We were just saying just a second ago before you arrived, Kathy, how we would like to try and reach out to a few more thrift fan members and get a few more viewers in, not necessarily viewers, but new people to become part of this little thrifty, happy, humble, wacky community that we have here. Thank you. I know I saw you posted it, Becky. Someone was asking for an email or something, weren't they? I don't know. But anyway, as I said, guys, if you are gracious enough to make a couple of donations, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Because as I said, I don't have an income or a job anymore. This is my job now. And it's something in the early days when this pandemic broke out, I kind of started to take a little bit more of an effort into making this my job and give me a daily routine. So as I said, I've got the blues and been down in the dumps for a few weeks now. So I'm trying to pull myself out of that. Ever since my dad died, I haven't felt like doing absolutely anything. And the longer you kind of feel you get stuck in that rut of not doing anything, the harder it is to get out of it. So today I actually feel as though I've done quite a lot of steps in the right direction. I put together a video, a very simple video about my pantry earlier. Edited that together, uploaded it, and now we've done a little live show. And I was only kind of attempting or planning to maybe do a 30-minute live show, just kind of give you a little bit of an update, let you know that I am still alive and hanging in there. Because I do know a few of you have been worried in the mod crew. They told me and have been passing on some of your messages, and I've also been getting some emails from you guys as well as some silent viewers. So anyway, everybody make a fuss of our new member there. Was it Kathy? Yes, it is Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. Give her a big Thrift Fam hug. Thanks for tuning in. Don't know how you come across the Thrift. Oh, Kathy, my darling, my sympathy, my heart goes out to you, as I'm sure everyone will give you a big Thrift Fam hug. And we do have a little bit of a support group mentality here. We have got quite a few of us through some difficult and hard times, and we've all been there for each other, and you guys have been there for me in recent days, in recent weeks, and I do appreciate your kind words and support. More than you could probably realize. And as I said, this is a little bit of familiarity for me. We do say it quite a lot. This is a little bit of a dysfunctional family, and sometimes you do need the comfort and support of your family when you are dealing with grief and trauma. Anyway, guys, I'm going to try and wrap this up at the 1 hour 30 mark. That does give it a little bit of a little achievement. 90 minutes. I do like to kind of give you a 90-minute live show if I can, at least an hour, but I did say or did plan to do maybe 30 minutes just to get back in the spirit and get the ball rolling. But thanks for putting up with me tonight, guys. And as I said, I do apologize maybe if the Soylent Green video was a little bit scratchy and maybe not the most enjoyable viewing experience for you, but it was a little bit of an experiment. And as I said, that video has been striked by YouTube. Be interesting to see if or not this live stream gets struck because we played it. But Soylent Green, guys, can't tell you enough. This is a movie that is really telling us exactly where we're probably going to be in 2 years if things don't change, and it's very unlikely that they will. Thank you, Killer. I appreciate it. And as I said, thank you to joining us, Kathy. As I said, I don't know if you answered how you found us tonight. Did you just come across a live feed, or did you put something in the search and we can't? I don't know. But it is always nice when we do get news people, because we do feel we are reaching out and capturing other people. And like somehow attracts likes, or maybe you're a like-minded individual. Kathy, by any chance, do you maybe smoke a little herb? Quite a lot of us do. That's why I'm kind of saying we could almost be called the pothead preppers. Even our dear old baby P. I know she says I shouldn't tell anyone, but I do know she has a crafty little puff now and then. Forgive me, baby P, give me my moment there, but I'm sure you don't mind. I'm glad I come on. As I said, I needed to kind of break the cycle of feeling sorry for myself. I needed to get back into a little bit of normality, and this is one of the most normal things that I can think of. Okay, well, not to worry. Not everybody does. Just going out on a whim there. We do have some people that don't smoke pot, like Judy Bell, who is now, I've forgotten already. I told you it's going to take me some time to get used to that name change. Prepper Chick in Texas. There we go, Prepper Chick in Texas. She's not so much of a toker, but she did once get arrested topless and drunk when she was in her 20s. So anyway, never mind. You are in good company, Kathy, and I can tell you that the guys in the chat are good people. William, you're the Gusset girl. Welcome, my friend. Always glad to see you. Well, you are definitely in the right place. Sometimes these live shows are just about company, getting together, hanging out. A lot of people that do watch this channel are alone in the world, and we've become, as I said, family, a little community, a little self-help place where people who are feeling down can come. There is also the Discord, the Facebook groups, stuff like that, where you guys can all keep in touch with each other. And I know some of you that are in a little bit close proximity to one another are in a little bit closer communicado. So we are a tight-knit bunch, Kathy. That's the spirit. You grew plants. Maybe if we do get Thriftopia up and running, as I said, guys, it's not necessarily something that is that impossible at the moment. And as I said, certainly some parts of Central or South America where you can buy land relatively cheap, we could make it happen, guys. We really, really could. Oh yeah, that's right. You're a new dad, William. Congratulations, and I can only imagine how much happiness and joy. I will check it out, Laurie. Definitely. I've kind of been a little bit off grid for the last week, only kind of really interacting with my nearest and dearest. Not to say you're not my nearest and dearest, but you know what I mean. Sometimes you just want your own security and own company. But anyway, that is the spirit. Where are we at now? 1 hour 27. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up now very, very shortly. Let me just do something and switch the camera around if I can. There we are. Let's put it back over there. I was going to do a little thrift prayer to play us all out, because it has been a little bit of a time in a while since we've done such a thing. Why is that not working? I got you. I know why. There, that's why. Sorry. I was messing around with the camera, getting a little bit anal there. So we are wrapping up, William. Sorry, buddy. I know sometimes when the gussets do show up, we go on a little bit longer. But as one life leaves, another one joins. So I'm so very happy for you, as I'm sure the fam are, that you've brought a new life into the world. As does our friend Zahara, who hasn't been around for a while. She's busy being a brand new mum with a beautiful bundle of joy. So maybe, William, you could send us maybe or email me a picture of your little one, and perhaps in a future live show we can pop a pic. I mean, that's of course if you agree or would be happy with that. We could show everyone the little tiny youngest members of the Thrift Fam community. I'd like to think that maybe you're sat watching this with a little baby bouncing on your knee right now. That would be wonderful to think that the youngest member of the Thrift Fam is only a couple of weeks old. So much love and hugs to those. So guys, as you know, I am an atheist. Some of you are religious. We don't have any judgment. You believe what you want in whatever faith brings you comfort. That is incredibly important to you. Don't let go of that. Believe what you want to believe, and don't make anyone believe otherwise, as I said, guys, let's just put our hands together, take a little moment. As you know, I do ask the force, because I am not necessarily religious, but for want of a spiritual entity, we do once again, as always, ask upon the force to give each and every one of us the strength to get up and out of bed each day and face whatever turmoils and turbulation that day may bring. We ask us that in these unsettling and trying times that the world faces, that you find enough light to guide us through the darkness and lead us out of this horrible storm at some point in time where we can all be healthy and congregate and happy together. We ask that you shed all the life, joy and health and happiness into the new lives that have entered the world. And you're looking after those that are no longer with us. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Amen. Thank you for listening. Sorry about that. Just got to me a little bit. So anyway, thank you, Force. Look after us all and keep us bathed in light as we are in the dark times. Amen. May the Force be with us. Namaste. Allah Akbar. Namaste. I think I've already said that. Sorry, guys. I did lose myself a little bit there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We may or may not try and do a live show tomorrow. I will try and let you know or update or post something in the community section. I'm going to get myself a smoke because I need it. You guys, you've been tremendous. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you next time. This is TSP TV. This was a shit video production.